Welcome to Dashboard Jesus, the podcast where faith meets the fast lane. Whether you're cruising through calm or navigating life's hairpin turns, we're here to help keep your eyes on the road and your heart grounded in God's Word. So buckle up. It's time to ride with a biblical perspective on the journey of life. Here's your host, Peter Heck.
I think very highly of the man. I really do. You know him, if you pay any attention to cultural or social issues and commentators and all of that, you know the name Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson, a philosopher, he's a guy that's got a lot on the ball. I think he's with the Daily Wire now, or he at least does things with the Daily Wire if he's not employed by them or not one of their guys. But Jordan Peterson, I think, so right on diagnosing so many of the problems in our culture. And not only diagnosing the problems, but also suggesting and promoting and proposing remedies to those problems on so many of them. I think Jordan Peterson is right, but that doesn't mean somebody's always going to be right. And it doesn't mean that somebody isn't going to just step up to the plate and whiff 3 times really hard and be totally off. And that's what I want to get to on the podcast today. Because I think that when you all in this listening audience hear this, when I play the audio for you of Jordan Peterson in a recent talk, it's gone viral. I actually don't know when the speech that this comes from. I don't know when the speech was given or the commentary was given. The video was recorded. The book audio was recorded. I honestly don't know where this came from. But I obviously know it's Jordan Peterson, and I know that it's gone viral, and millions of people have heard it or seen the video that accompanies it, that people have made and posted on TikTok and other forms of social media. I honestly think when you hear this, I think that you also will recognize there's something that just isn't right about that. Welcome to the Dashboard Jesus podcast, by the way. You can check our website, dashboardjesus.net. You can get commentaries and columns that I think will be edifying to you. You'll find them there. You'll find my feature column of the week, the podcast of the week, and starting in just 2 weeks, I should let you know, we won't have a podcast next week. I'm going to be gone with my family, and I'm not going to worry about getting a podcast recorded while we're gone. It's our fall break, and we're going to go somewhere together. So going to be totally away from this stuff. But when I come back for that podcast, then the following week, we will be just days away from the launch of Dashboard Jesus Daily, which is going to be our biggest venture since launching Dashboard Jesus several months ago. Doing the daily, it's daily texts that come to your phone that will link to audio or video of getting rooted in Scripture, Bible study, short to start your day. If you're driving on your commute, it's 5 minutes. It's easy to do. If you're walking across campus to a class, easy to do. It'll come in podcast form also, so it'll download directly if you listen to podcasts and you subscribe to it, of course. It'll be different than this one, the Dashboard Jesus podcast. Dashboard Jesus Daily. Very excited. I'll give you the full details, the full rundown of how it's all going to work in a couple weeks. But for now, talking Jordan Peterson, I came across this speech, this soliloquy, this short clip. I don't even remember which social media it was on, but it's one of those things where you're flipping or you're scrolling or you watch one and then it goes on to the next. And immediately when I heard it, the beginning of it, it really resonated with me because of things that have been going on in my life recently, things that I've been involved in, doing a funeral, and so I screenshotted it so I could make sure I could find the video later. Because like I said, initially I was like, this is good. This is going to go somewhere. And then where it went, that's why I really wanted to be sure to comment on it, because I'm sure several of you are going to encounter it. And several people that you know are going to encounter it, and we need to be clear about where it misses. And it misses. So, without further ado, here's the audio from a recent Jordan Peterson video or speech or something like that. Take a listen to this.
Do you know what happens after your funeral? In a few short hours, the crying will die down, and your family will be busy making arrangements for food or drink. Some of your relatives will start discussing current events over coffee, and some people will call your family to tell them that they can't make it in person because of an emergency. Your employer will begin to search for your replacement. In a few days, your children will go back to work because their bereavement leave has run out. In a month, your spouse will be watching a comedy on TV and start to laugh. You'll be forgotten at an astonishing pace. If people will forget you so easily, then who are you living your life for? You spent your whole life worrying about what people will think about you, and the sad truth is, they don't. So live your life for you. Remember, life is too short to be lived for others' approval. Embrace your true self and make your own happiness a priority.
All right, so again, that's Jordan Peterson, the philosopher. And while the video is playing, I did look it up. He does work with Daily Wire to do podcasts and to do videos and commentaries and things like that. So let me just start off with those words that he began with. Do you know what happens after your funeral? That's the beginning line of this video. Now, initially, I thought, okay, we're going to get talk about after death, and I hope that he is quick to point out that there's only one person who has ever been to the other side of death and come back to tell us about it. So unless he's going to tell us, Jordan Peterson is going to tell us what Jesus said about it, then this is all a bunch of poppycock. This is all about, you love that word. It is, it's poppycock. It's nonsense. It's all stuff that is a guess. Maybe it's an educated guess. It's a guess. But that's not the direction that he took it. What followed that line, do you know what happens after your funeral? His short little monologue here, it's hauntingly accurate. He said that within hours, the crying stops. And that's true. It will. Your loved ones who will be crying and will continue to cry for days and sometimes months, and sometimes if it's a spouse or somebody that it'll be years. When they stop and think about it, it'll become less frequent, obviously. But they'll remember the fun times, they'll remember the good times. Somebody will say something humorous to get their mind off of it, and they'll laugh. Within days, your office is going to be cleaned out, no matter how important you are to the company. It could be your company. They're going to clean out your office. There'll be a succession plan. Within weeks, Peterson points out, your name becomes an occasional reference in somebody else's conversation. And the more time that goes by, the less frequent your name will be mentioned in that conversation. And I'm saying that about every single person here. The most important person in the world's eyes, in our listening audience here, whoever that is, it's going to happen to them every bit as much as the least significant person by the world's eyes in this listening audience. Some of you feel very obscure in your life, but you've got a handful of people that you're really close to. Other people, say like Charlie Kirk, they're anything but obscure. And maybe they have a few more, but probably don't have that many more who are really close to them in this life. And so for the ones who are really close, they will keep your name in closer proximity to their conversations. But for others, it'll get less and less frequent. Everything about Peterson's assessment there is right, and it's very disconcerting to a lot of folks. But what am I saying, a lot of folks? It should be to all of us. It is sobering to remember that even the most accomplished people in history are now footnotes. Yes, the inventions that they came up with, they still serve us. And the ideas that they wrote down, they still shape us. But their names and their actual lives are largely forgotten. You and I use a refrigerator on a daily basis, but not one of us knows the name of Carl von Linde. That is the guy that came up with the idea for modern refrigeration, if you couldn't figure that out by context clues. In other words, as harsh as it sounds, as integral as you may feel that you are to the daily operation of your business, your company, your school, your family, the world moves on. And for most of the world, 99.999999999% of the world, it moves on indifferent and unbothered. And that's what Peterson points out at the start and the majority of this video. And when you hear that and you acknowledge that and you realize that, and we all have to if we're honest with ourselves, that demands some kind of response from us. You cannot hear that after your funeral, the crying's going to stop within hours, the office is cleaned out within days, and within weeks you just become an occasional reference. You cannot hear that and not have some kind of response to it. It may not be a visceral response, but it's going to be a response. It might be depression. You might be frustrated by it, feeling like you're spinning wheels. You may feel a sense of desperation to do something that's worth remembering. I don't know what the response is going to be, but I do know you cannot encounter those accurate observations and simply remain indifferent. Now, unfortunately, Peterson's conclusion, Peterson's response, it was tragically hollow. You heard the line. It all built to this. These people that you think are thinking about you so much, they're not thinking about you. You're trying so hard to make everybody like you and make everybody care. They're not even thinking about you. And then he says what? So live your life for yourself. Make your own happiness a priority. And it is at that moment that I sit there kind of slack-jawed, because Jordan Peterson is, I think, a very wise man in many ways. He is a philosopher, and philosophers aren't supposed to have a complete logical collapse. But he does right there. And here's why I say that. Live your life for yourself. Make your own happiness a priority. If our lives truly vanish that quickly, if we are erased that easily, then living for ourselves, that's just another form of despair. It's not a solution. Because if nothing lasts, then why bother with anything? Why ever love someone sacrificially? Why go through the stress of raising children? Why tell the truth when lying is much easier? And why strive for some vague, morally undefined goodness that people speak of, if in fact yourself is all you truly need to please? You see, here's what Peterson's observation actually exposes. It's something far deeper than apparently Jordan Peterson realizes. What this is all revealing, and the upset, unsettled feelings we have when we realize how quickly life goes on without us, what that's actually exposing, those feelings of discontent with that reality, it is exposing our own soul's desperate hunger for meaning. You and I, every single one of us, even those that want to deny it, ache to matter beyond the fleeting timeline of our own existence. That opening description of how frail our mortal bodies are and mortal lives are, that resonates with us precisely because it awakens the part of us that knows instinctively there must be more than this. And the good news is there is more. I'll fill you in and say the things that Jordan Peterson should have said, and I hope knows, and if not, he needs to know, and all of us need to know, and the people in your circle need to know. Yes, everything he said about our funeral and what happens after, 100% accurate. And that should provoke us to respond in a certain way. I'll get at that after this break, and listen carefully to this short break this time. It's a little different than what you've just heard before.
What if forgiveness could heal the wound that's haunted you? What if it's not about forgetting, but about freedom?
That man, that young man, I forgive him.
In his new book, Wounded Grace, Peter Heck cuts through the culture's counterfeit forgiveness, the kind that excuses or forgets, to reveal the real thing, the forgiveness Scripture calls us to. Forgiveness that heals hearts, restores relationships, and honors God. Wounded Grace, when the pain feels overpowering, grace still wins. Purchase yours now at peterheck.com.
Imagine a new kind of investing, a potentially life-changing way to invest that honors biblical principles, the kind of principles that you and I grew up with. Since 1994, Timothy Plan has made biblically responsible investing possible, offering mutual funds and ETFs that are filtered for biblical principles. Don't compromise your values. Invest with Timothy Plan. Ask your financial advisor or call Timothy Plan at 1-800-TIM-PLAN. Again, that's 1-800-846-7526, and discover what it means to be a biblically responsible investor. Investing involves risk, including possible loss of principal. Before investing, carefully consider a fund's investment objective, risks, charges, and expenses contained in the prospectus available at timothyplan.com. Read carefully before investing. Mutual funds distributed by Timothy Partners Ltd. and ETFs distributed by Foreside Fund Services LLC. As a paid testimonial, there is no guarantee of future performance, and each experience will differ. Yes, back here on the Dashboard Jesus podcast. Again, the website, dashboardjesus.net. A lot of great resources there. Don't forget that next week, I will be off. There will be no Dashboard Jesus podcast next week, so do your best. Try to hold this one over for a while. Maybe go back and listen to it again or go back into the archives. I don't really care, but you need to stay in touch just because I'm gone for a week, okay? Before the break, oh, and by the way, when I come back, lots of details, fill you in entirely on how to become part of this Dashboard Jesus Daily, and I'm excited about it. I just cannot tell you this is what I want to be doing. So anyway, the good news, we're kind of leaving ourselves hanging with this Jordan Peterson video and his monologue that goes with it, where he's really just destroying our inner soul by pointing out how quickly we'll be forgotten and that life is going to go on. And yes, there'll be some people devastated for a short period of time, but time will heal those wounds. And even spouses will sometimes, depending on the spouse, will remarry. And the spouse isn't going to forget us, but they're going to live functional lives the way they have to. And so Peterson's conclusion in all of this was, don't live for other people. Live for yourself. Make your own happiness a priority. But again, that's just another form of despair. Because why do anything? Why bother with anything? Why love someone sacrificially? Why raise children? Why tell the truth? Why strive for anything if nothing lasts? And my contention was and is and will always be that when we hear those words from Peterson that are accurate about how fleeting our time is here and how quickly the earth and the world move on without us, as it has and they have for thousands of years now, it should provoke a response in us. And what it's provoking, the reason that we feel something about that is because it's revealing how desperate our soul is for meaning and something more than this. And I'm telling you, there is more, and Christianity tells you exactly what it is. You see, here's the great part of Christianity. Well, there's a lot of great parts. Christianity doesn't deny reality. Christianity isn't an attempt to avoid reality or escape reality. You're not sitting there humming and buzzing, trying to attain to a higher level of consciousness where you're no longer part of this world. Christianity doesn't thrive on denying what's real. It's one of the things, it's why in other religious texts, they're not like the Bible, because the Bible reveals people as they are. It reveals the human condition as it is. And even the great quote-unquote heroes of the Bible, there really is only one hero in life, but the heroes in the Bible do some horribly awful, morally flawed stuff. Christianity doesn't deny reality. And in this case, it doesn't deny how short life is. James says our life is but a vapor, a mist. Here 1 second and gone the next. Here's what's great about Christianity. It doesn't deny reality. It doesn't deny the brevity of life. It answers it. And the answer is the precise opposite of what Peterson's advice was. Peterson's saying, cling tighter to yourself, and Christianity is saying, give yourself away. I mean, that's Jesus' words himself, quote, whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. That is such a huge line, which of course we should expect because it is the Son of God. Peterson is saying, live for yourself, but Jesus is saying, lose yourself. Now go back to Jesus' line and look at those last three words, or listen to those last three words. Whoever loses his life for my sake, here they are, will find it. If you lose your life, you're going to find what life really is. Okay, understand this is not some bizarre masochism. Jesus isn't saying, oh, go and rejoice in the slaughter of yourself. Go physically sacrifice yourself, and you'll find something great. That's not what's happening here. It is the recognition that joy and purpose and endurance are only found when we attach ourselves to whatever death can't touch. I'm not sure if I said that well. What Jesus is getting at is only, you're looking for the meaning of life. You're looking for joy and purpose. You're looking for a reason to endure. You will only find that when you lay down all the things in this world that death will destroy and death will wipe out, which is everything except me. That's what Jesus is saying. Peterson's urging people to embrace your true self. But here's the truth. Apart from the one who created you, you can't even know your true self. Without God in your life, without a relationship with him, self, what is self? If you are not in right relationship with your Creator, then self is little more than just a confused and conflicting bundle of instincts and emotions and impulses and desires dressed up as what we call identity. It is only in a relationship with our Creator that we discover who we really are, why we really exist, and what we were made for. It's only in that relationship with God. What we find is that we weren't created simply to be remembered. We were created to reflect the image of God. We were created to know God, to love God, to find meaning in serving God. And that is something that will not disappear when all of the mourners at the funeral leave the gravesite. Yes, what Peterson said is accurate. The truth is, we will all be forgotten by history. But the truth that Christianity offers, and that will change us from the inside out and will change everything about our existence, is that even though we will all be forgotten by history, not one of us will be forgotten by the God who numbered every hair on our heads. That's why the smallest, I said earlier, if you're just living for yourself, then why? Why ever love someone sacrificially? That's not for you, that's for somebody else. Okay, this is what I'm getting at. When you know your Creator, that's why the smallest act of faithfulness to Him may be unseen by everybody else, but they will echo into eternity. All of the big accomplishments, and I'm putting accomplishments in scare quotes, all of the big accomplishments of this world will be forgotten. But the smallest act of faithfulness that not a single person sees here on earth, but God does, will echo throughout eternity. I'm telling you, man, when Jesus came, He turned everything on its head. Every moment we live for ourselves evaporates. But every moment that we live for Christ carries an eternal weight with it. Every kindness that we offer in His name, every injustice that we confront in His authority, every tear that is shed in His love, every single one of those things one day will be redeemed. The resurrection of Jesus Christ is a guarantee that what is done for Him on this earth is never lost. So yeah, of course, remember Peterson's wise warning, and it is wise, about how quickly the world will forget you. But thoroughly, I'm begging you, thoroughly ignore Peterson's proposal to respond to that by living for yourself. Because I'm telling you, doing so brings no absolution, it brings no resolution, it brings no peace, it brings no comfort, there's no contentment in it, not long term. But living for the one who conquered death, who happens to be the one who remembers your name when everyone else forgets it. Living for the one who one day will raise you to eternal life. That is when a fleeting life gives way to forever. Now, if only the Dashboard Jesus podcast had the platform that Jordan Peterson has. But since we don't, there's only one thing we can do about it. Spread the word. To all of our circles, spread the word. And that's what I'm asking you to do. Not about the Dashboard Jesus podcast, although if you want to do that, that's great. I mean, spread the word, the truth that we're just talking about. People need it. We've got it. Go share it. Off next week. We'll see you in 2 weeks for more of the Dashboard Jesus podcast. Thanks for tuning into the Dashboard Jesus podcast. Honestly, forget just the dashboard. This old car wouldn't be operating if it wasn't for all of these good people and groups that I know personally that have helped sponsor us and keep us going. Friends like Jonathan at Hartman Family Farms, or at my bank, First Farmers Bank and Trust, my lawn care team at Trueland Equipment, my insurance company, Norris Insurance, the place where I buy and lease all of my vehicles, McGonigal GM Buick, also J. Watson Creations, the jeweler I use for all the custom pieces that I buy for people that I care about, Stevens Machine, my mechanic at Terrell's Auto Service, my longtime realtor, the Wyman Group, and those fighting for family values in the public square like the Indiana Family Institute and Indiana Right to Life. Thanks to all of those great sponsors.